You may not know this, but for survivors of sexual assault, the most painful memory usually isn't the assault itself. It's the life they have to face afterward. Just look at this girl. Her school uniform is torn up. She's lying on the grass covered in dirt, and all she can think about is how she's ever supposed to face people again. The man who attacked her stares at his handiwork, still not satisfied. Right then, her phone starts ringing. Seeing it's a call from her mother, the man hangs up without hesitation and sneers, "What now? Deaf people make phone calls too?" Faced with that kind of humiliation, the girl is too weak and too hopeless to argue back. She doesn't dare to either, afraid he'll take it out on her mother or hurt her all over again. Meanwhile, her mother, unable to reach her, is desperately searching everywhere. She's getting dangerously close to the very patch of grass where the girl is. But the man doesn't panic at all. Instead, with a cold grin, he warns the girl that if she reports him, he'll kill her mother. And she has no doubt this monster would really do it. Then suddenly, he gets an idea. Killing the girl's mother right away feels like too much of a waste. That if you're not into things to be the same, you don't use a bunch of under the dirt. The girl had been holding herself together, but the second she hears this animal is planning to hurt the only family she has, she completely loses it. As he moves toward her mother, she grabs a rock in a panic and charges after him. One hit, then two, then three. She smashes his head over and over like she's lost her mind, and she doesn't stop even after his skull is split open. The man quickly dies in the middle of her rage. After killing him, the girl tidies herself up and goes straight to the police to turn herself in. And that's when her real nightmare officially begins. At the end of the day, she's only a 16-year-old high school student. She has no idea what a sexual assault victim is supposed to do, like preserving evidence from the attacker and taking emergency contraception in time. So even though she insists that the man assaulted her and that she acted in self-defense, the police don't believe her. The man is dead, there's no one left to testify, and she didn't preserve any evidence. Even the lawyer brought in for her thinks building a full acquittal defense will be tough. He suggests posting the case online and using public opinion to help clear her name, but she refuses. She doesn't have the courage to let the whole world know she was assaulted. She may not care what people think of her, but she doesn't want her mother being judged and talked about. In the end, she's sentenced to 5 years for manslaughter. That means the best 5 years of her youth will be spent behind prison walls. After the verdict comes down, her mother cries her eyes out. She even drops to her knees in front of the judge, begging him to spare her daughter. But the law was never going to bend for an ordinary mute woman. The girl is still sent to the local women's prison. What she doesn't know yet is that prison is its own little society, and it's no less brutal than the outside world. On her very first day in the cell block, she accidentally bumps into a short-haired inmate and gets beaten up on the spot, basically a welcome gift for the new girl. Luckily, the other inmates are decent enough to step in and pull the short-haired woman away. Looking at the girl's young, timid face, they can't help wondering what someone her age could have done to end up in here. Being forced to revisit the assault all over again, the girl doesn't want to talk about it. But she's afraid of upsetting the older inmates, so she tells them how everything happened. Her name is Lucy, a high school student from a poor family. Ever since she was little, she's lived with her deaf mother, and even though life was hard, the two of them still managed to care for each other and get by. But one day, Lucy comes to pick up her mother from work at the factory, and one of her mother's co-workers, Jack, spots her immediately. A bachelor in his 30s, Jack instantly starts having twisted thoughts. From that day on, Jack keeps fantasizing about Lucy. He even takes advantage of the fact that Lucy's mother can't hear, smiling right in front of her while saying disgusting things to humiliate Lucy. What he doesn't know is that Lucy's mother can read lips. Watching this man dirty his daughter with those filthy fantasies, she slaps Jack hard across the face. But that slap only sets off a petty man like Jack. That very night, he kidnaps Lucy on her way home from school. The assault ends with Lucy killing him in return, and because of that nightmare, she's the one who ends up in prison. After hearing what happened to her, the inmates feel even more sorry for this poor girl, so they start looking out for her in everyday life. Once Lucy learns she can work and earn money in prison, she chooses the dirtiest, hardest job in the repair shop without hesitation. But she's not doing it to make prison easier on herself. She's doing it to lighten her mother's burden on the outside. Life in prison is exhausting and painfully dull. Lucy works non-stop every day, and there's barely any entertainment. The only comfort she really has is writing letters to her mother. Still, she's young and learns fast, so before long she adapts to prison life. Lucy doesn't let herself sit still, because if she does, she'll start drowning in her pain, her anger at the man who assaulted her, and her fear of the future. So she pretends she's just away at boarding school. That's the only way she can make it feel a little easier. 3 months later, Lucy is finally allowed to have visitors. Her mother arrives at the prison early in the morning with homemade food and a pizza she bought just for Lucy, her favorite. Just like before, it feels like one of those ordinary mornings when she used to visit her daughter at school. Before the visit, Lucy's mother holds back her tears and keeps practicing a smile in the restroom for when she sees her daughter. But the moment the two of them finally meet, the tears break loose. Lucy sees her mother crying and has to fight hard not to cry too, just so her mother won't worry more than she already does. She doesn't tell her mother how hard prison has been, just like so many daughters who only share the good news. But all the strength she's been forcing herself to hold on to melts away under her mother's worried questions. And in the end, they collapse into each other and sob. They can't even get out a full sentence anymore. But after that visit, Lucy feels much calmer, and she becomes even more determined to behave well in prison and earn a reduced sentence so she can get out sooner. She works hard, follows the rules, and for a while it feels like life might actually be getting better. But fate has one more cruel joke for her. One morning, Lucy suddenly feels a severe pain in her stomach, and after a checkup, she hears the worst news possible. She's pregnant. Pregnant with that monster's child. And because abortion is illegal in Korea, if she tries to terminate the pregnancy, she could get another 5 years added to her sentence. Lucy completely breaks down. She runs out of the infirmary crying, all the way to the prison gate, pounding on it and screaming for her mom in total despair. And in that moment, everyone is reminded that she's only 16, just a kid who instinctively calls for her mother when things fall apart. She's already been stronger than most people her age. She didn't collapse right after the assault, but the aftermath keeps grinding away at every bit of armor she had left. As for what to do about the baby, Lucy's fellow inmates are split. Some say the child is innocent and should be born, but the short-haired inmate thinks the baby's existence is a mistake and should be ended. No one can convince anyone else, but Lucy never wavers. She doesn't want to keep this baby. To her, this child is proof of what that monster did, a constant reminder of the worst thing she's ever gone through. She has no way to force a miscarriage, so all she can do is cry every day and refuse every visit, because she can't bear for her mother to find out and worry. But since it looks like the baby will have to be carried to term, the inmates start helping Lucy take care of her body. Some of them even dip into their own savings to buy her nutritious food. Lucy is deeply moved, but the short-haired inmate, who still believes the baby never should have been born, isn't having it. She goes after Lucy and beats her badly, blaming her for keeping this child. She even says that if Lucy doesn't have the guts to get rid of the baby, then she'll do it for her. Lucy is too weak to fight back and she's crushed. None of this was her fault, so why does all the pain keep landing on her? Thankfully, a guard steps in at the critical moment and stops the attack. She warns the short-haired inmate not to do anything reckless, because even killing the unborn child in Lucy's womb could still be treated as intentional homicide. Only then does the short-haired inmate finally back off a little. But there is one piece of good news. Lucy's pregnancy proves she really was assaulted by that man. It still can't determine whether it was coerced or not, but at least her sentence can be reduced to 1 year. In other words, Lucy only has to stay in prison 5 more months before she can go home. That news makes everyone incredibly happy. But doing the math, it also means Lucy will still give birth in prison. So the inmates start eagerly looking forward to the baby, and some even use their prison uniforms to sew little clothes for the child in her belly. Even the warden gives Lucy extra food from time to time. And the short-haired inmate, who used to reject the baby the most, starts making a little wind chime for the child out of spare auto parts during work breaks. This once-dead prison slowly starts to feel warm and alive because of the life that's on the way. Everyone is looking forward to the baby's arrival, except Lucy. She has no idea how to face this child because yes, it's her baby, but it's also the rapist's baby. She's still school-age herself, so how is she supposed to raise a child? What will people say behind her back? She can't even bear to imagine it. So the whole time, she's still planning to get rid of the baby. Throughout the pregnancy, Lucy keeps asking the doctor for sleeping pills, using insomnia as an excuse, but she never takes a single one. She secretly hides every pill away, waiting until labor comes. Then she finally gathers her courage and swallows all of them at once. By the time the inmates find her, she's already unconscious. The doctors save her life by pumping her stomach, but Lucy's will to live is so weak that she can't deliver the baby normally. If this keeps going, both she and the baby could die. Everyone underestimated the courage of this 16-year-old girl. To stop this child from being born, she was willing to go further than anyone imagined. Luckily, the doctor makes the call to do a C-section. In the end, Lucy gives birth to a baby girl, and both mother and child survive. By the end of the story, the child Lucy never wanted is the one who finally heals her wounded heart. She eventually steps out of the shadow of the assault and builds a happy family of her own, and that's the end of the film. 2037 is a Korean movie released in 2022, and honestly, Korean films are incredibly good at exposing the darkest parts of human nature. For survivors of sexual assault, the hardest part usually isn't the attack itself. It's the rumors, judgment, and whispers they have to face afterward. So as bystanders, we shouldn't be demanding some kind of perfect victim. We should be aiming our anger at the perpetrator. Otherwise, we've got the whole thing backwards. That's the only way survivors get a real chance to step back into the light. If this story hit you, go check out the original film.